Hey there, amazing listeners. Before we dive into today's fascinating topic, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you. The TeleWellness Hub podcast has been an incredible journey since launching it in April, and it's all thanks to your unwavering support. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And by subscribing, you'll never miss an episode. I'm committed to bringing you valuable insights into the world of wellness, science, and culture every week from leading wellness experts and people sharing their authentic wellness journeys. But wait, there's more. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Your reviews truly mean the world to me. They not only help me improve, but also assist others in finding the podcast. So if you could spare a minute to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify or Apple or whatever it is that you use to listen into the TeleWellness Hub podcast, it would be an immense, huge help. And if you're as passionate about wellness as we are, consider sharing the TeleWellness Hub podcast with your friends and family. Let's spread the word about the importance of well-being, the power of science, and just the ability to take your wellness journey one step at a time through easy, accessible ways. Thank you for being a part of our community. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, dear listeners, to another insightful episode of the TeleWellness Hub podcast, where we explore the world of wellness to help you live your best life. I'm your host, Marta Hamilton, and today we have a crucial topic on our hands: finding your ideal wellness provider. So whether you're in search of a therapist, a counselor, a trainer, or a nutritionist, we've got you covered here at TeleWellness Hub. But I realize, I've been interviewing all these different professionals and leading experts, and I love that we get a little insider's look into what their profession looks like and what they offer for clients. But really, when it comes to finding the ideal provider, it can be a hard, challenging thing. I myself, as a therapist, had a really hard time finding the ideal provider for myself, which is what ultimately led me to create the TeleWellness Hub directory. But I want to dive in and guide you, whether you're looking for a counselor, a coach, or a therapist. I want to provide some helpful tips as an insider who is a provider, and also as someone who has been a client, just sharing my experience from both sides, including things to look out for, like big red warning flags when, like, okay, this is not right. Okay, this is not normal to expect from a therapist. I want to give all of that insight to you so you can feel really empowered. So let's dive right in. The first step in your wellness journey is finding the right provider. But how do you do that? It can be a daunting task, but do not worry. You can use this episode to guide you through the process. These are just general suggestions to help set you up for success, to really start the work on your wellness journey. So, I want to start by discussing some essential questions you should ask yourself and potential providers. These questions will help you narrow down your choices and find the ideal match. So, one of the questions that I highly recommend that you think about for yourself are: what are my specific needs and goals? Because understanding your unique wellness objectives is really crucial. Like, do you need someone to help you manage stress or improve fitness or maintain a balanced diet? Because all of those things will lead you to a different type of provider. And you could also think about what type of approach resonates with you. Different providers have various philosophies and methods. So, are you someone who wants to have a holistic approach? And, for example, I had certifications as a yoga, or have certifications as a yoga instructor and health coach, in addition to my licensure as a licensed professional counselor with a clinical background. So, do you prefer someone who takes a holistic approach, or do you prefer evidence-based practices that are used in conventional medicine only? Either one of them is fine. It just depends on what you need for yourself. It's really important to know which approach resonates with me so that I can feel more comfortable and confident in this process. Another thing to think about is, what is my budget? Because considering your financial situation is important, and you need to know, for example, whether your chosen provider accepts your insurance or even offers affordable rates. So, a lot of therapists, myself included, have something called a sliding scale. So sometimes if we recognize maybe someone doesn't have insurance or they want to pay out of pocket and may not afford the full fee, a lot of therapists have set aside a certain number of sliding scale appointments where they can work with you in terms of how much the session will cost, and it's actually usually based off of a chart that is kind of standard practice where it looks at household income and the household size. So I think it's important to know that you have options there too. And another important thing in this day and age to think about is this provider available for telehealth sessions or other modes of communication? So, given the current times, telehealth is more popular than ever. Most providers offer both telehealth and in person sessions. So, it's important to think about, do they offer both, so that in the chance that, I can't come into a session, but I can meet during my lunch break or something like that, you have that option. And also considering, do they have an online presence? Because many providers now create videos and share their social media content. They are creating digital content, even blogs, so that you can kind of get to know them. And you might want to know, you might have expectations that you will be able to email them or text them in between sessions, but many providers do not allow this. So just know that there are some questions to ask regarding policies and procedures for contact in between sessions. And also, it's important to ask, if you'd like the option for telehealth, to ask, are you available for telehealth or remote sessions? Because a lot of people offer community groups and emails and video chats. So, something to consider. Okay, so armed with these questions, you're ready to embark on your journey to find your ideal wellness provider. But where do you even start? I've created a list of 5 main methods to help you in your quest. Number one, I would say that is most helpful, are online directories. So, specifically for counseling, you could utilize something like the TeleWellness Hub website, which is telewellnesshub.com. But also, there's other online directories like Psychology Today or Health Grades that can give you an extensive list of providers. So, it makes it easy to search based on your different criteria. Now, each directory is different in what kind of content it shares with you and what you can learn about the provider. But those directories exist for ease. There are providers who would love to work with you. And so these directories are a good way to help you in your quest to find the right provider. Of course, a second main method that I think gets utilized often is seeking recommendations directly from friends, family, or colleagues. Sometimes personal referrals will lead to really good provider matches. And that could be because your friend, your family, your colleagues, they know you personally, and they may know that you might do really well with one provider, or similarly, they may not recommend someone for you based on what they know about you. I often tell clients, we when it comes to something so personal like counseling or therapy or coaching, it's important to find the right fit, because many times people are sharing just from the deepest parts of their soul and their spirit, and they're entrusting really personal things about their lives to you. And so it's an honor. Honestly, I'm honored to have such an amazing job title, but it's important just the same way we take a lot of time. I don't know about you, but I take time to find the right hairdresser, for example. I may ask recommendations, but maybe the person that works for my friend wouldn't be the best option for me based on my hair texture or just my style or different things about the approach. And so just because someone might provide a recommendation for a certain provider or therapist and it works great for them, it may not work great for you. And that's okay. And in our world, therapists also want you to find the right provider. It's okay to ask the questions, and it's okay to say, you know what, this might not be the right fit. It's totally more than okay. It's encouraged because if we take that much time to find the right provider for our hair, I'm just using this as an example, then you better believe when it comes to important life choices or healing that you're going to take some time to find the right person for that. So just a little side bit on that. And the third main method is through professional organizations. So many providers are members of professional associations, and these organizations often have directories and resources to help you find qualified professionals in your area. Like if you want to start on a global level, for example, you can check out the American Counseling Association. So you can look up like associations for nutritionists or associations for trainers or therapists and refine it from there. I know I mentioned earlier directories like the TeleWellness Hub website, but I have to I knew the struggle of finding the right provider. I was a single mom. I was going through a really traumatic, life changing divorce. I was already a counselor. Like I knew how insurance worked. I knew how to, like, what questions to ask. I was having a really hard time finding a directory that like really gave me enough information and a way to contact the ideal providers. And none of the directories let me know like what's their availability, right? Because I was working, I have kids, like how I need to know like are they available on weekends? And I often didn't have time to reach out to people until after my kids went to bed. So I knew I wasn't going to get a hold of anybody. And I would have to like Google their name after I found them on other directories and see what I can find of like social media for them or YouTube videos or anything else. And it was like a full-time job trying to find a provider. So I created the TeleWellness Hub website because I wanted providers to have one directory where they could share all that they do, exactly who they are, and all of their digital content in one central digital hub. Creating ease as a provider, because I also was in private practice later on, and I realized, it's hard as a provider too. We want to spend our time with our clients, not on trying to figure out how to market ourselves. So of course, I'm biased, but our very own TeleWellness Hub website is an excellent resource, and you can filter providers based on your needs and preferences, making it a one-stop shop for all your wellness needs. And one of the beautiful things about it is it's not just specifically for therapy. Sometimes you don't know exactly what you might need. Do I need a coach? Do I need a therapist? Do I need a prescribing nurse practitioner that can prescribe medication? Or, you might not know. So being able to go on the TeleWellness Hub website, you can search based on what you need support in and find all the options, all the professionals who work to support you in that area. And if you're still feeling stuck, we have recently integrated an AI chatbot that can make custom recommendations for you as well, just to kind of help lead you like, okay, well, I don't even know what I need, but you can kind of just give a description of what you are looking for and they can assist you. And we also share our direct contact information if you still need extra support finding the provider that you need. And the fifth method is social media and online communities. So you can join wellness related groups on platforms like Facebook or Reddit, even, and you can often find valuable insights and recommendations from fellow community members. But, of course, you don't always know if these recommendations are vetted or like backed up by, science. It could be controversial. So, but just know that some people, like even mom groups, say you're on a mom group for Facebook and you're looking for a therapist for your child. That's a really common way that people might ask a question and say, is there someone who could recommend a nutritionist or a therapist for my child? And that's one way in which social media and online communities can be really beneficial. Now that you have some methods to find providers, let's talk about recognizing warning signs that you've not found the right provider. Like, this is not a good sign. So, it's essential to be aware of these signs to avoid wasting your time and resources. So, I'm going to talk about five main ways. One is lack of connection. If you don't feel a connection or like in your gut, you don't really trust your provider after a few sessions, it might be a sign to reconsider. Another thing, number two, is inadequate communication. Your provider should be an excellent communicator. We are trained to ask the right questions. And if they're dismissive or unresponsive or unclear, it's a red flag. Number three is unrealistic promises. Be very cautious if your provider makes these huge, grand promises that seem way too good to be true. Wellness is often a very gradual and individualized process. Number 4 is disrespectful behavior. If your provider doesn't respect your boundaries or in any way makes you feel uncomfortable, it's time to find someone else. I hate to even share how often I have heard clients tell me that previous therapists would like nod off during sessions, like fall asleep. I mean, there are so many things. You don't have to tolerate that. Like, that's not normal. I feel like I need to do my PSA as a therapist for you to know that you have every right to find someone that makes you feel comfortable and that respects your boundaries and makes you feel like your life is important to them. Like they're the work, right? They're not there to be like a rent-a-friend. You're gonna be doing the work, whether with a trainer, nutritionist, or a therapist. But yes, if there are aspects that don't make you feel respected, it's time to find someone else. And lastly is lack of progress. If you're not seeing any progress towards your wellness goals after a reasonable period, it may be worth seeking a second opinion. And most providers, from trainers to nutritionists, therapists, coaches, they will typically give you an idea within the first couple sessions about how many sessions total they can foresee you needing. Because what will happen is you will ideally establish some goals in the beginning. And once you establish those goals, you can monitor them and how your progress is going and have an idea of what to expect in terms of how many sessions you'll need. Now that we've discussed warning signs, let's wrap up with some positive indicators that you found the right provider. So, here's some signs that should reassure you that you're on the right path. Again, I'm going to stick with 5. So, number 1 is effective communication. Your provider listens actively. Again, not falling asleep, but like listening actively. They may be nodding their head. They may be asking follow-up questions or reframing what you said. They respect your opinions and they communicate very clearly about your treatment plan. Like, what is their plan for their sessions with you? Number 2, progress towards goals. You see noticeable progress towards your wellness goals, and you can actually measure. Like, you can say, oh, I'm sleeping better, or I have noticed that I was able to implement the dietary plan that my nutritionist mentioned. You will be able to see the progress or measure some type of progress even through like questionnaires. Maybe it's about depression and you notice that the score might be going down, or you have less symptoms, or less often as before. And your provider will adjust the plan as needed. Number 3 is trust and comfort. You should feel a sense of trust, comfort, and safety during your sessions. Number 4 is adaptability. Your provider is flexible and willing to adapt their approach to your specific needs, knowing that you are an individual and it is not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to any kind of provider work. Number 5 is positive feedback. You should receive some positive feedback and encouragement that motivates you to continue your wellness journey. So there you have it. Finding your ideal wellness provider might take a bit of time and effort, but with the right questions, the right methods, and awareness of warning signs and positive indicators, you can discover the perfect fit for your needs. Remember, the TeleWellness Hub website is an excellent starting point to begin your search, but there are many awesome ones out there as well. I mentioned this earlier on social media. If you haven't checked us out, find us on Facebook and on Instagram under the TeleWellness Hub. But I shared on there that latinxtherapy.com is a fantastic directory. I mentioned them in relation to it being Hispanic Heritage Month, and Psychology Today is another one that I have been on. There are lots of great directories out there. And so just starting your search and starting your journey is considered success, right? It's an excellent starting point. I hope this episode has been helpful in guiding you towards a healthier and happier you. Thanks for tuning into the TeleWellness Hub podcast. Check us out on social media at TeleWellness Hub. You can also click to subscribe and leave us a review if you're liking these episodes. Stay well, stay healthy, and until next time.